All right. So we're going to continue the halachas that we started at the beginning of this week. How to go to sleep like a yid. Don't sleep like a goy. Sleep like a yid. We mentioned last time, if I'm not mistaken, I think this was on Sunday. Right, Azzy? This was on Sunday. Thank you. Sunday we mentioned the Gemara. The Gemara tells us we made a cheshbon of how much a person sleeps. Can you imagine a person spends, when I say a person, I'm talking about an average person. I'm talking about a yeshiva bacha. I'm talking about an average person sleeps an average of a third or a quarter of his life. And you have a kasha. Whether you sleep like a yid or you sleep like a goy. The Gemara tells us, Brachas Daf Samach, we learned it yesterday on Sunday, that a person that does not go to sleep in the correct oifen is going to sleep like a goy. Which means he is sleeping like a goy for a third of his life, a quarter of his life. That is so sad. So all you have to do is come to these shurim and you'll learn how to sleep like a yid. And once you sleep like a yid, third of your life, quarter of your life, and of course the rest of life, about you sleep, you're acting like a yid. But at least for a quarter and a third, you're sleeping like a yid, which is a gavaldik azach. Now the Maisa, there are a bunch of different halachas that I wanted to discuss. As I told you on Sunday, we're going through a whole bunch of different shailas that are nageya to sleep. Sleep halachas, the halachas of sleeping, different positions, kavanas, skulas, all sorts of things. We'll discuss that as we go on. But we started on Sunday the sugya of going to sleep with Krishma al-Hamita. We spoke about 8 different skulas that a person can get when he says Krishma al-Hamita. I'm not going to go through them once again. Just wanted to refresh the olam because we've had a day break to understand how important this is. The Gemara tells us, Brachas Daf Samach Amud Aleph, it is a mitzvah for a person to say Krishma al-Hamita by his bed, on his bed, before he goes to sleep, even though he daven Mariv, and he already said Krishma, so he was yotzei his chiyuv of Krishma midaraisa, of saying Krishma in the morning and the evening. This he already did. But to say it again by bedtime is already a mitzvah. By the way, just an agav, for those of you out there that ever may daven Mariv early, right, which can happen sometimes, maybe make early Shabbos, maybe Stamazoi, there's a Mincha and Mariv, after plug, whatever, and they daven Mariv before Nacht, in various places in the world. They do these things, very, very common, right? Business people, sometimes they want to chop a Mincha and Mariv together before they go home, whatever it may be, early Shabbos, it's very nageya. Then you have to know, of course you have to repeat Krishma, but for sure make sure you do Krishma al-Mitzvah, because if you don't say Krishma al-Mitzvah, you might forget Krishma. If you forget Krishma, that's a mitzvah deraisa. Yehuda, are you with me? Gavaldik. So let's move on. So what exactly is this chayiv of Krishma al-Mitzvah? What does it mean? Who's chayiv, and how do I have to do it? And like I said, after that we'll try to move on to various of the other halachas that we're discussing of going to sleep. So first of all, the halacha which is brought down in Shulchan Aruch, Shil Lamates, the halacha is chayiv for both men, women, and children. This is not a man halacha. This is a negeya also to women. This is also negeya to children, of course, over the age of chinuch for sure. But that is the chayiv of Krishma al-Hamita. How much has to be done? So there are different minhagim. The Mishabura, for example, says the minig is to say all 3 parshias of Krishma. In other words, the entire Krishma, all 3 paragraphs the Mishabura brings to say in that case. Why? Because it is a protection for those of you that are familiar with the Moedik Sefer called the Heilige Kavayosha. The Kavayosha brings a Chelek Beis and Simon, if I'm not mistaken, it's Samach Aleph, where he says, and he brings a Zohar Kodesh and others that say that we know that every word of Krishma is choshev. And by the way, you should know this also when you say this in the morning and stand by Mariv also. Make sure, I point this out to one of the boys, open up a siddur, you find something very unique by Krishma that you don't have by almost any other tefillah, and that is there are lines between some of the words. Have you ever noticed that? Chaim, you noticed that, right? By Krishma, there are these lines in the middle. Shmuley, what's the pshat? What's by Krishma, there are these lines. Why not in the middle of Ashrei? What's that? But what's going on? Danny, no, what's pshat?
No idea.
Come on, Menachem, you know the pshat, right? Noach.
Stop.
Oh, why? Very good.
It sounds like one big word.
Beautiful. Zuk Noach, Gavaldik. Noach, amazing. He deserves a hug. Azzy, give him a hug. Shkoyach. Beautiful. Thank you so much. That's Gavaldik. That's beautiful. So Noach said Gavaldik. Mamish beautiful. Every word of Krishma needs to be said in the correct way. Because if you say it too quickly, you'll miss words, right? Classic is Alavavecha. Well, you missed a lamed there. Like, there's people that say, Rabbi said, did I say this right or wrong? Just listen carefully. Hamoitzi lechem min haaretz. Did I say it right or wrong?
Wrong.
Well, because I'm asking, right? Sure, you like, because if I wouldn't have asked, then, but does it sound right? I'm saying it slowly, right? I'm trying to pronounce it. Hamoitzi lechem min haaretz. I said it good. No, sure, what did I say wrong? What's wrong with min haaretz? I said min haaretz.
Yeah, it's good.
I said min haaretz. Yosef is good? Batal b'shishim by words. That's cute. That's good. No, Rabbi Sai. Hamoitzi lechem min haaretz. Okay, so maybe by bracha you want to say it's not daraisa here. Oh, but Kriya Shema is daraisa. Not only that, Zug de Zoya Kodesh, every word of Kriya Shema represents a different limb in your body. Danny, you got that?
Yeah.
Which means that if you miss a word or miss a letter, I don't know if that limb is getting shmira. You know, there are people out there that, you know, they break legs and all these sorts of things, and it happens again and again. What are we going to do about it? We check mezuzah. What's written in the mezuzah? Kriya Shema. And there's a letter, there's a tag, there's something going on, it affects one of your limbs. Zuk the Zoya Kodesh, every word in Kriya Shema is affecting one of your limbs. If you don't say the words properly, your limb doesn't get the shmira that it needs. Memelu, according to that, you have 248 words in Kriya Shema compared to the 248 organs in your body, and therefore he has 245 words because Kamelach Naman, whatever it may be. Hashem lekechem emes twice. We have bonus dabim b'tzibo. The point is that it's important to say, according to Mishabura, the minig is to say all three in that case. However, the Mishabura does say if a person is sick or is in illness or is difficult, whatever it may be, so then you can just say the first parsha. In other words, if you know after this shit, like tefasta bubo tefasta, I'm not going to manage to say all three parashas, right? Zevi, it's too much for me. What can I do? What can I do? I want to go step by step, you know? What do they say in Hebrew? What's the expression?
Why?
Para. Very good. Everybody else. Very good. Para. Step by step. I'm not going to manage all three. Danny, so what do I do? So at least after the share, at least one thing. First parasha Kriya Shema. This I can do. Maybe one day I'll get to the madriga of doing all three. But right now, I'll say Hamapil, which we'll get to in a minute, and then I'll say at least the first perek, of course, in Shema, plus the first paragraph of Kriya Shema. What about other psukim? So the Mishabura says there's a minig to say, and by the way, if you open up a siddur, for example, every art school, every siddur will have Kriya Shema Amitta. After Ma'ariv, generally that's where they put it. Or they have these Kriya Shema Amittas that you could buy. Great present for your roommate. You want to buy your roommate a good Hanukkah present? Buy him a Kriya Shema Amitta with his name on it. Wow, that is unbelievable. You're thinking about his ruchnius. You want him to sleep like a yid. Great Hanukkah present that you could buy. So Mishabura says the meaning is to say other mizmorim to protect a person against harm or danger, not necessarily physical, during the night. Some of them, by the way, are mentioned in the Gemara. V'inoim Yoshe B'Seisa, for example, as part of Kriya Shema. Some people have a minute to say even more. By the way, if you go to sleep during the day, it's not really Negea. It's Negea. It depends what you call day. Some people have it, Bacham have like this newborn syndrome, right? They have this mixed up between the day and the night. Can't figure it out, right? So if a person... jet lagged. Okay, that's only for Bacham. When you're married, there's no jet lag. Ask him. So, Moish, so when you go to sleep during the day, do you need to say Kriya Shema Amitta? So no, not really. You don't need to say Kriya Shema Amitta during the day. There are those that say different psukim, whatever, but lachatchila, you don't really have to say it. Now, what about Hamapil? What about Hamapil? So we know you're not really meant to speak after saying Hamapil. It's great, by the way. This way you don't have to talk to your roommate. You say Hamapil, hefsek. You can't speak. You've got to go straight to sleep. So what happens if I don't fall asleep straight away? Right? What if I don't fall asleep? I'm not talking about when you're looking at a screen. I'm not talking about that. No screen involved. I go to sleep, I say Kriya Shema first, and I don't fall asleep. What do I do then? So some person can say, 1 second, am I going to make a bracha shahakol and then go into the makolet to buy myself a drink? No. It's a hefsek, you can't do that. If that's the case, if you know that you don't fall asleep after saying hamapel, you can't say hamapel, because it needs to be hamapel, sleep. Which is why, by the way, the Mishabura brings a machlokes when to say it. Do I say hamapel before Shema, or do I say hamapel after Shema? And the maskana lemaisa Mishabura brings is, it depends on your sleeping pattern. If you're the type of guy to fall asleep within the first minute of starting, say hamapel maybe first. If you're not, then say it afterwards. The point is that what you're meant to do is you're meant to say hamapel and go to sleep immediately. So some points to the Ben Ish Chai, for example, brings, don't say hamapel if you don't fall asleep straight away. Others say, no. Avad you say hamapel. You should say hamapel, but try to not make a hefsek. Try to go sleep straight away. Obviously don't speak and don't do other things in the meantime. If for whatever reason, after half an hour after saying Hamapel, you realize I'm not falling asleep yet, say Kriya Shema again. You can say the first, you say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. You can say that pasuk continuously be'etzem, the whole time until you fall asleep. But saying Hamapel should be done over there, and a person should not have a hefsek unless, of course, Asher Yotza after the bathroom, or maybe he forgot to count Suris Oimo, Dab Mariv, or something like that, whatever it is. But L'chatchila, a person is not meant to have any hefsek between Hamapel and going to sleep in that case. During the position during Kriya Shema, so you are allowed, by the way, if you don't want to disturb your roommate, which is a very good thing as well, but on the Chaveh is very important. My Rosh Hashiva of Scheinberg used to talk all the time about how a person is so makpid on Dalad Amas to washing Nagelwasser that he makes sure to put his Nagelwasser, in Torah they have sinks in all the rooms, they had, whatever. So upon him, he was very much, people are busy washing Nagelwasser, you want to wake up early because you want to go and, Fatug, you want to go and daven, you want to learn before davening. It's very nice when you wake up your roommate, it's not Peseda. Very nice that you want to be machmeh and daladamas, but it's not kedai. So rather be making and put the negavasa outside if you're going to wake him up too early. Obviously, I'm not talking about the time of shachris. But upon him, if you don't want to wake up your roommate with the light or whatever the noise, then you can daven Kriya Shema outside. You're allowed to daven outside the room and then go inside. There is no problem with doing that. You're also allowed to say Kriya Shema lying down, but not on your back. You should really say it on the side, the right side, whatever it may be, and therefore you should say it in the right position. So Rabbi said the emes is there are a lot more halachas. I'm not going to go through too much. So tomorrow what I want to do is I want to go through various other halachas of sleeping. There's so many halachas, by the way, that people don't even have, of just going to sleep. Go to sleep like a Jew, like the Gemara says in Brachas Daf Samach. Go to sleep like a Yid. If you go to sleep like a Yid, your entire sleep becomes a Yiddisher Maisa, as opposed to a Goyish thing. And we'll just end one last thing. Rabbi Gamliel said over this Maisa, it's a true Maisa, I heard this from Rabbi Gamliel, Kvaldige Maisa. He said there was an Israeli tank crew that was ambushed in Lebanon, going back a number of years ago, obviously. The tank had a direct hit from an anti-tank missile. Everyone assumed it was all over. Forget it. The crew are gone. There's no way they can, once you have an anti-tank missile, the place explodes, forget about it. So Gamliel said that a huge nace happened, and for some reason, it didn't explode. The tank didn't explode. Hours later, when they rescued the people inside, they asked, what's pshat? What's going on over here? And Rabbi Gamliel said that the driver of the tank started to cry. And he said, I don't know how to explain this. Again, Rabbi Gamliel, you can ask Rabbi Gamliel. He said over the Maisa. He said, I closed my eyes, and I said, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And then I said the first few lines of Kriya Shema Lameta, which talk about unbelievable, right? We didn't discuss it here by Riches. Last time I mentioned the Zohar Kodesh. Hamapel talks about amazing thing. Look at the art scroll Siddur on Hamapel. Just understand the words. It's really, really special, by the way. And he said the first few lines of Kriya Shema Lameta, the way my mother, he said, taught me as a child. And then Rabbi Gamliel said that was obviously what the Shmira, the Shema that you said every night, created a protective shield. And that moment of danger that just before it happened gave you that protection and enabled you to become alive. So as we to be alive, to stay alive. So upon him, Rabbi says, we mentioned Sunday, Kriya Shema Lameta is a gavaldige shmira, not only physically but also spiritually, and a person should try whatever he can. Kriya Shema Lameta, go to sleep like a Yid. Tomorrow Be'ez Hashem will continue talking about various other halachas that are nageya to going to sleep like a Jew. Have a wonderful day.